Dr. Kelly Bogue and Tyler Bogue. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Alice.
Yeah, nice to see you both. You both just had a big celebration yesterday in your family.
We did.
Yes.
Our youngest turned 3.
Yeah.
Yep.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yes. And thank you for the shout out yesterday too on the show. We appreciate that.
Yeah,
Yes.
so your kids are how old now?
7 and 3.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Wow.
They don't slow down despite our requests.
Well, I remember when I first met you, there were no others, just
No.
you and Tyler.
Yeah.
And that's how long I've been enjoying hearing, improved hearing from Community Hearing Center. And it really has been a life changer. So thanks for that.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That's always our goal.
Yeah.
Well, I know the practice is going well because every time I'm there, it seems like you've got people you're seeing.
We are busy. Yeah.
Yeah,
We recently were able to hire, so we have another staff member helping out front, which is awesome. And we are so happy to have her there.
Yes.
So she started with us in November. It's actually our sister-in-law. So it's nice to have somebody
Oh.
that's able to, feel comfortable with helping us even with the kids too, if we need to have her kind of sub in multiple ways. And she's been a rock star.
Nice. Well, I'll be anxious to meet her.
Yes,
Is she holding down the fort right now?
she is. Yep.
Take good care of the place. And you've recently purchased the building you're in. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was something that was always our goal when we first found that location, was one that we saw as a place that we could actually grow into. So when we met the original owners, we kind of worked out and said, hey, eventually we do want to buy this building. So when they were ready to let go of it, we were right there to do it, and it worked out. It took a little bit of time. It was, getting it over the finish line right at the end there, but yeah, we got it, and it's great. So we're excited to see what we can do with the space and add
Yeah.
improvements to it and make it our own.
Great location,
Yeah.
great space, great building.
Yeah. Yeah, very easy to find, very easy, right off the road, right down by some beautiful areas, yeah, right down by El Sharp Park and everything. So yeah,
And nice that the parking is right outside the door. You don't have to wander through,
It's all
like lots of
barrier-free,
hallways
yeah.
to figure out where you're going, which,
Yeah.
sometimes you underestimate the convenience being something that does make a difference in when you're going somewhere new for the first time.
And typically, people that have hearing issues tend to be older.
It does skew that way,
Yeah.
although it affects people at every age, but certainly we know that you are more likely to have a problem as you get older, not as a function of age, but as a function of more experiences, more exposures, because you've been around longer.
Journey concerts.
Exactly, right? It sounds
Yes.
fun.
yep.
But yeah, so many things, right? I mean, you could have had ear infections as a kid. You could have had noisy hobbies or jobs. You might have genetic components. You might be on medications or have underlying health conditions. And so all those factors are cumulative, which contribute to, hearing loss potential.
Yeah, I would imagine essentially the boomer lifestyle has a lot of those
Yeah.
environmental issues where hearing is definitely affected.
And people weren't always cognizant of the fact that you should be wearing hearing protection in a lot of situations that you think you kind of take for granted, like mowing the lawn, right? That's a big one that for a long time, but you see more people now
But
out and
I was
about
gonna say,
with
nowadays, I
hearing
feel like
protection
most
on.
of our patients that we ask, they are wearing hearing protection while they're
Right.
mowing the lawn. I'm like, well, good. Yeah, that's one conversation we don't have to have. Yeah.
Exactly. Anything that we can do to mitigate that loss from worsening, as well as we know that even if your hearing itself isn't dropping in terms of like your actual tone thresholds, not having that exposure helps to correlate with maintaining speech understanding. That speech intelligibility is the biggest piece. It's why we are routinely saying loud doesn't equal clear.
That's right.
Yelling at somebody isn't going to help them understand better.
And people have qualities to their voice that no matter how well you hear them, they're just hard to understand.
Yeah.
Rate of speech, definitely, the tonality of your speech. But looking at somebody, maintaining good communication strategies, I think that is one that even when somebody starts using hearing aids, we still need to really emphasize with their family members. You can't expect that somebody's going to be in a totally different room, right? Or like, you're in the zone, reading, watching a show. You should still say their name, get their attention. I've been going to do this with our 7-year-old where I will ask her something and I used to say the question and end with her name and then get frustrated if I asked it a couple times, but now I'm like, say the name, right? Do the thing that I'm preaching, get her attention, or pause the TV, do something to make sure that they know you're talking to them. Then they have a chance to actually process it. If you're not processing it, doesn't mean you didn't actually hear them, but your brain needs a second to kick in.
Yes. frequent husband issue.
Wife too.
Yes.
Now, as I tell my family and friends, they're hearing aids, not hearing cures.
Right, because it's still an underlying damaged auditory system. And that's the thing, right? We can give you sound back, but the ability for the brain to process it, that's the bigger element. And that's also where we think about hearing aids in conjunction with auditory training. I frequently liken that to like physical therapy for the brain. You know, it's exercises that we can utilize with or without hearing aids to help with processing faster rates of speech, filling in contextual cues, helping with listening and background noise. Those are all things that directly correlate with better processing.
Makes sense. Every time I go in, there's something new. You are on the leading edge of technology. What's the latest at Community Hearing right now?
One of the cool accessories, actually, that's had a new version that's come out within the last year that I was just bringing in to kind of show. This is an example of one. This is a device called a Roger, and there's lots of different iterations of this, but this can do so many things, and it can be compatible with not just this particular manufacturer, but with others as well. But this works as a remote microphone, so it can be used in the sense of setting it like on a tabletop, and there are beams, directional beams. If you were in like a restaurant where you could have it pointing, you can turn on beams or just have a couple. There's noise reduction in each beam, so that makes it more helpful yet. Somebody can wear it, so if it was just one person, you could clip it onto you and it turns into a single person companion microphone if it's in this position. You can point it, so if I have somebody who's maybe in a meeting or not necessarily wanting to hand it to somebody they don't feel comfortable, you can literally hold it and point it at people, or like hook it onto a clipboard if I have a physician maybe that's like rounding and just kind of wants to help have a little bit more emphasis there. It will beam that sound into your hearing aids, and if you plug it into this little guy, this hooks up to a television or computer, whatever, and it takes the sound and puts it wirelessly into your hearing aids.
Oh, wow.
So
that's huge.
All the things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of people watching TV in a family situation. Everyone has a different level of hearing ability, and there's no perfect adjustment for the TV to meet everybody's needs.
Well, and it's hard because show to show, right? Yeah. Channels. I mean, we talk about this all the time. If you're streaming something, even streaming platforms can be vastly different. So it'll be times where we're like, wow, we're amazed at the difference that, you're looking at the number on the TV, but unfortunately that doesn't equate to like a specific value, right? If somebody says, oh, my husband likes it on 33 and I like it on 15, it's not like that's, he likes it at 90 dB and I like it at 60, right? At least not to my knowledge, there's that equation there, but certainly there's fluctuations there, but also just the way that shows are recorded. It's why something like this, where it's a single person speaking, that's an easier thing to understand than a sitcom or a show where there's, a fluctuation of background noise, music, an explosion that is competing with the speech.
So we have these ads we're seeing on late night TV or in the back or pop-up that say you can get hearing aids without having to go to a doctor, and that they're cheap. Mm-hmm. The industry's changed in terms of how it's regulated. Mm-hmm. What do you make of those kinds of products and those kinds of offers?
So there's a lot of different variations on what is out there with those. There are some that it's like, it's just a little cheapy amplifier, and it is legitimately, you get what you pay for, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't do a whole lot. Most people that have had something like that are not even remotely happy with it because everything is just super loud. There are some that have a little bit more programmability to them, and that can be a nice stepping stone for somebody who maybe wants to try something out, is not really sure what to expect. But in my experience, anybody that has tried them and then has compared it to something that's professionally programmed, night and day difference. Mm-hmm. And I've not had anybody that's purchased it that's gone back for a second one. Right. A lot of times it's like, we might have tried it, and then we kind of return it back. But there's a lot to be said about the professional testing, somebody that's fitting you according to evidence-based practices, ensuring that it's appropriate for your ear. Is there some kind of medical intervention that needs to be assessed before looking at something like a hearing aid? And maintaining those things too. So being able to know, like, okay, does my hearing aid need a repair? How do I clean it? What's going on in my ears? There's so many things that help to maintain your success with hearing aids that you don't generally get if you're just buying a catalog amplifier. And obviously there's a big range of costs there too, but we have a lot of programs that we work with to try and help make hearing aids accessible. regardless of where somebody's at budget-wise.
And insurances, more insurances are accepting or paying for hearing aid.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's something that they have definitely been trying to expand into as an increasing value to their subscribers. But sometimes they do cut corners, or they provide discounts rather than actual true insurance benefits. So that's where we do work with insurances, and we let patients know, like when they're looking for different insurance plans, to find one that'll give them the best bang for their buck or give them the best value on there. So that is a really nice thing that is getting expanded upon. But still, we have to find different ways to try and help people out there too. With Michigan Rehab is actually a really good service. I don't think we bring up enough, but they are really good for anybody working or looking for work, and you need help with hearing aids. That's a go-to place for us versus trying to fight with the insurance company to get coverage. Michigan Rehab is a really good resource for that.
It's a grant funded by the state for people who aren't aware of that. So if you're working, if you're trying to gain employment, they are able to help with those things to make sure that you are able to be gainfully employed. So it could be hearing aids, could be glasses, could be something else, could be advocating on your behalf to an employer. They do a lot of really awesome stuff. So we try to connect people with those resources, or like we started many years back, a donation program. So for people who aren't working but maybe don't have other help or don't have an insurance benefit, if somebody has donated their hearing aids, we will pass them along to somebody else in the community. If they're a good working order, you obviously get everything cleaned up if we need to send it back and have anything done for it, but try to still help them get into technology so that they can hear, because we know how essential it is for cognition, for maintaining our social relationships. There's so many things that correlate with that. And especially as we get older, being a part of those situations that we feel connected to, that social ecosystem, makes a huge difference in people feeling happy, not necessarily leading to things like depression, being isolated. There's a lot to be said for being able to hear and be connected to your community.
Yeah, people, they won't go out to dinner because they can't hear, they feel it. All right, well, we appreciate you guys being in our community, and I appreciate you, and we thank you for coming in today.
Thanks for having us. We appreciate you too.
Thank you, and thank you, Jackson County, and everything. Yeah.
People can call for an appointment, and that's all there is to it.
Yep.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
The owners of Community Hearing Center, Dr. Kelly Bogue and Tyler Bogue.